This is a true story, a story of survival, resilience, and the unyielding spirit of the people who called the frozen wilderness of Northern Labrador their home. It was told to me by my father, Ray Zinck, who lived through the brutal winters of the early 1950s in the small village of Hopedale, Labrador, where he was a Mountie. Let me take you on a journey into the past, where storms could swallow men whole and survival was a daily battle. This is my father's story, told in his own words, of courage and determination in one of the harshest environments on earth. Northern Labrador is a place of breathtaking beauty, but relentless hardship. The winters are punishing, temperatures plunge far below zero, and the winds whip across the frozen tundra with merciless force. Life here in the 1950s is not for the faint of heart, and survival often hinges on the strength of the human spirit and the bond between people and nature. One fateful night in Hopedale, a fierce storm battled the coastline, turning the already brutal landscape into a deadly maze of snow and ice. Amid this chaos, my friend Jim Gear arrived at the local detachment after a harrowing experience and journey from Atotuk Bay. His face was etched with exhaustion and worry as he shared his grim tale. Jim had set out earlier that day with his son Arthur Lane on a hunting trip. Each man drove his own dog team, but the unpredictable conditions became treacherous. A fresh blanket of snow concealed dangerous pools of water between the ice and snow. The snow was strong enough to support the Comatic and dogs in some areas, but in others it gave way, forcing the team to struggle through slush and a broken crust. The journey back to Hopedale was 22 miles, not a quick trip even on the best of days, but a major ordeal in such conditions as this. Jim's son, weakened by the cold and unable to run alongside the sled to keep warm, was nearing exhaustion and was frequently falling behind. As darkness fell and the storm worsened, Jim gave Arthur two of his dogs to help him keep up. But soon they become separated in the storm, and Jim decided to press on before the cold claimed them both, hoping to reach Hopedale to let people know what was going on. By the time Jim arrived, he was half frozen and exhausted, but his thoughts were with Arthur, still out in the storm. A short while later, Arthur's dogs returned to the village, alone, and their traces still attached to their harnesses. This was often done as a last-ditch cry for help. Fearing the worst, Jim was already preparing to search for his son. Many times we offered to go help him, but Jim was afraid that we might slow him down and possibly get into trouble ourselves, putting more people at risk. So he set out alone into the storm, determined to retrace the path to try to find his son Arthur. Two hours later, Jim returned, his Comatic carrying Arthur, barely alive. Arthur's face was frostbitten so bad that his nose and chin were frozen to his parka where the drool had hardened and frozen. Local women rushed to help, using slow, painful process of thawing his frostbitten body with snow and slush, avoiding heat which would cause further skin damage. Arthur's condition was dire, but he was alive. You have to remember, there's no hospitals in those days. People just did the best they could. Arthur later recounted that his Comatic had broken, leaving him no choice but to release the dogs, hoping they would find their way back to the village and alert folks. Exhausted and disoriented, he had sought shelter in a small grove where the numbing cold lulled him into a deadly sleep. He stated he started to feel warm, but of course that was death numbing his senses. He was saved only because he had planted his rifle upright in the snow before going to rest, a marker that caught Jim's eye. Arthur was flown to the hospital in St. Anthony, Newfoundland, where part of his frostbitten nose was actually amputated. He returned weeks later, forever marked by the ordeal, but alive, a testament to Jim's courage and determination. This was not the only tragedy to remind the people of Hopedale of the unforgiving nature of their home. The danger of someone becoming lost in a storm was always of concern in the village. A young man named Bob Gear once disappeared in a snowstorm during a seal hunting trip. Bob had a deformed arm from a break he had as a young boy. The arm was never set properly and it just healed wrong. Days passed before a search was launched, and when they found him, his deformed arm was the only part of him visibly sticking above the snow. Bob was barely alive when they found him, but due to the lack of medical treatment available, tragically, Bob succumbed to the cold before he could be brought to safety. The people of Northern Labrador faced these challenges with remarkable resilience. They endured storms, accidents, and isolations, often relying on ingenuity and their own hands to save lives. In one unforgettable incident, a young boy suffered a compound fracture while playing amongst the boats. He had broken his femur during a very major storm. The large bone between the knee and the hip was broken and dislodged and out of place. With no doctor available and medical help days away due to the major storm, myself and the local Reverend Grubb, and another Mountie had to set the bone and try and splint the leg. I held the child by the shoulders, and the other member pulled on the leg while Reverend Grubb tried to get the bone back in place and then splint it. All this was accomplished without any anesthetic and was an experience that I have never forgotten. The child involved was one of the finest boys in the community, and to cause him so much pain was something I have never been able to erase from my memory. The boy's screams haunted me for years, a stark reminder of how survival here demanded both physical and emotional strength. These stories of survival are not just tales of hardship. They're a testament to the resilience and courage of those who call this unforgiving land home. Life in Northern Labrador was a constant battle against nature's fury, but it was also a story of community, resourcefulness, and an unyielding hope. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to hear more stories like this. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that video. Check out the details below in the description. There's lots of information in there. And please leave me a comment. Leave me your thoughts. Love to hear from you guys. I always try to reply to everybody's comments. As well, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and click on the bell to get the notifications when a new video has been uploaded. As well, if you like this video, you'll find more just like it right here. And don't forget to head over to my website by clicking right there. Thanks for watching.